Welcome to our AP Lang Survivor Guide. If you are seeing this, that means that you have chosen to take the class of AP Language and Composition. I don't know why you would take a class that required a survival guide, but I guess to each his own. I wish you the best of luck. I'm Sky Cohen, and I will be guiding you through this year. Throughout the year, you will read numerous books, both choice books, being nonfiction and fiction and alternating, and teacher choices. Our favorite, you will have our favorite dystopian future 1984, because apparently living in one for the past 2 years wasn't enough. And then instead of watching Survivor, you get to see preteens on an island in Lord of the Flies, because that's going to end well. To be fair, it was not actually that bad. And some of these books you will learn that you will absolutely detest, and you just don't want anything to do with them. If you like books like this one right here, I don't get you. However, to each his own, and I hope you find a book that suits your needs. On to our next section. Throughout the year, you will be doing many kinds of writing. You will be doing your rhetorical analysis. Arguably the best one would be your argument essay, and then your speech as well, which is really fun to do. And then the third one you're doing is synthesis, which is the one you're probably most used to and bored of, because it is the most boring one and the most annoying one to do. And it comes with an AP synthesis project, which you really just don't want to do. Throughout the year, though, you will be doing timed writings for each of these things. And those will be done with a pen or a pencil. Your wrist will hurt, and you will really just want to snap a pencil at a moment's notice, and then put your head on the desk and cry. Not all the writing is bad, but you have to wait to see what that is before you can make your final judgment. I wish you the best of luck in this department. Throughout the year, you do fun things though. Like, first day of school, you're given cereal. Who doesn't love cereal? You are given actual cereal, which you will hold in your hand and analyze and see if it's off-brand. I guess the one downside is you don't actually get to eat it. Most disappointing thing of that day. Nonetheless, you do fun things such as debateables, where you get to argue random things with classmates. Sometimes you burst into tears, sometimes you blame it on the Pope. You never know what's going to happen. It's really fun. You get to do escape rooms, you get to judge people's grade people's writings, and you get to be yelled at by people who think that humans are not evolving as much as they should be, and then they put a random unicorn on their paragraph. Just wait for that. All in all, the class is really fun. You do fun activities, and in general, it's a relaxing time. While I'm still concerned, and I think it's a little bit of a red flag, that this class does need a Survivor video, you and your classmates will be just fine. And keep in mind, you will have a variety of friends there. You might have some who talk about bikes and cars a little too much, Jacob, and a few of them might be a little too loud during class. You all know who you are. But you guys will all have a great time, and even though there might be some struggles, if you all just work together right away, you will have a blast. Sorry for the spoiler. As I'm closing this up, please watch this video from our sponsor.
Whether you want great singing, or rare speed, or countdowns like you wouldn't believe, or maybe you need a challenge, maybe you need a celebration, maybe you need Jacob Jordan answers.
Welcome back, I'm Jacob Jordan. I'm here to teach you how to write, objectively. Alright, here, let me try to put on some appeal to false authority, as the best writer at Madison High School. Now, you've been preparing to write for AP Lang your whole life. Now you just have to do it better. So you want to write pretty, right? Maybe you've been writing on your own, just for fun.
But it's different in AP Lang.
The number one thing is you have to make your argument if you're writing to convince or persuade, which you almost always are in this class. So it can be pretty, it can be nice, but the number... Alright, I moved outside because my family's home and I'm screaming. Alright, so here as the best writer ever, I'm gonna show you an example, right? Let's come up with an example. So here's this prompt I just came up with. Can an industrial product be considered art? So first let me decide the truth, and I think, well, yeah, it can be, right? Now I'm thinking of, the Campbell Soup prints by Andy Warhol. I'm thinking of, this kind of modernist traditional architecture, even kind of boring architecture like around these apartment buildings I live in. You can still kind of consider it art, right? So that's things that I'm thinking of that will go into my argument. So now maybe I'll try an open thesis and I'll say something like industrial products, even if they weren't originally made with artistic intent, can be reconfigured into art and have been reconfigured as such through their transformation to various artists, creating vessels for the expression of new and modern ideas. Now this is just one idea out of many. You don't have to agree with it. I really just came up with it now improvising, but you can see how it would go down a line of reasoning. Using the Andy Warhol examples, I would say that the original intent of creating these Campbell soup cans is maybe entirely commercial, but then when it's transformed into these prints, it's created with more of an artistic intent, and then it more intentionally expresses the ideas that the artist put into it. And this thought process is one of the most important parts of writing. For example, it's only 1 point if you make your argument pretty, if you make it vivid, persuasive, that's the sophistication point. But so much of it is centered around creating a line of reasoning, bringing in examples to create a structured and reasonable argument that kind of flows from the prompt, it connects back to the prompt, and you add more to the discussion. Now, if you're writing for yourself, you're writing to be creative, less to inform. It's important not to be entirely worried about that, It's an entirely new set of requirements. So you tend to judge yourself a lot, right, when you're writing to be creative. So here's one thing you can try that I tried a while ago. It's kind of fun, even if it's not the best technically. Right, you should try writing with your eyes closed. So you can't judge yourself because you can't even see what you're writing. How would you ever know? It's such a sneaky tactic, but it might just... Alright, here, I'm gonna try it on camera. I'm gonna show you just how much this works. Watch this. This is a real writing sample from me, okay? I'm gonna close my eyes. Send not to ask for whom the bell tolls. It tolls for thee? That actually sounds pretty good. That's not bad. That was pretty impressive on my first try. And oh my gosh, look at this, guys. I've already made it to become one of the most famous poets of all time just with that short example. So there's no reason you shouldn't be too.
For the part you guys have been waiting for, the AP exam. The exam is 3 hours 15 minutes long and has a multiple choice and a free response section. The multiple choice section has 45 questions, is 1 hour long, and is 45% of the exam score. It contains 23 to 25 reading questions and 20 to 22 writing questions. The free response section is 2 hours and 15 minutes long and is the remaining 55% of the exam score. It consists of 3 essays, a rhetorical analysis essay, an argument essay, and a synthesis essay. It's also split into a 15-minute reading period and 40-minute periods for each essay. That means you will have to write each essay in 40 minutes, which definitely isn't a long amount of time. But if it makes you feel better, the raters who look over each essay keep in mind that you wrote them in such a short amount of time and will treat what you wrote as a draft. They will be lenient for many things. Similarly, slight grammar errors in an essay are fine as long as they don't impact the interpretation of your message. When you're writing the essays, try to spend a decent amount of time on each essay and avoid leaving one essay for last with barely any time to spare. rhetorical analysis essay is probably the most familiar essay. It asks you to analyze how the author uses different rhetorical devices like figurative language, imagery, etc. to convey their message. To prepare for this, you can review the rhetorical devices that you learned at the beginning of the year so that you have a variety of devices you can pick from when writing the essay. This will also help you in the multiple choice section. Argument essay. This essay asks you to make an argument about a given topic and tends to be the easiest out of the 3 essays. Be careful not to get lost in a rant though if you are talking or writing about something that you care about. Similarly, try getting used to putting your own opinions aside and writing something that you may not personally agree with, since one side of the argument may be easier to argue for than the other. This also applies to the synthesis essay. In addition, you must pick a side for this essay. You cannot be on the fence saying that both sides are correct. In your claim, one side must be wrong and the other side must be right. Essay is the synthesis essay. This essay asks you to use a bunch of sources to make an argument about a topic. It's sort of like an argument essay, except you have to incorporate sources. This essay tends to be the most difficult. Unlike the argument essay, it's alright to be on the fence in your claim and say that both sides of the topic are correct in their own ways. But in both the argument and synthesis essay, your claim must be a clear and unambiguous statement that you say is always true. A final thing to note for the exam is that the essay section may not be as hard as you think. There are many poorly written essays with tons of grammatical errors that got decent scores. Furthermore, the argument and synthesis essays don't ask you to make a very persuasive argument, they just ask you to make a solid, valid argument. The claim you're making might be wild and stupid, but as long as you have evidence to back it up and you structure your essay and commentary well, it will get a good score. The essay section grades how well you write your essay, not the point you're making. But try not to make a claim that's offensive, because your rater is a human. The point you're making may bias how your rater grades your essay. Likewise, humor can have a positive effect, but it's a risky move, so don't try it unless you absolutely want to. Those are some good things that are good to know for the AP exam. Now that we're done, I'm gonna have a lollipop.
Wait, who's in here?